Is Ben Friedman versus Chris Andersen.
Couple blanks in Friedman's main deck as well. Engineered Explosives not going to do anything for him here.
All right, so Chris Andersen starts off with Stomping Ground into Search for Tomorrow. It's the best one-mana play from the deck. Interestingly enough, with Simian Spirit Guide in the deck, Oath of Nissa into Simian Spirit Guide is actually another one-mana ramp spell that the deck now has access to.
Just more ways for turn 3 kills. Simian Spirit Guide, a totally reasonable, modest Magic card.
It's a turn 1 Noble Hierarch here from Ben Friedman. We go back to Chris Andersen. He has drawn Anger of the Gods here. He's deciding to play 3 of those in the main this weekend. That's kind of the flex slot for the deck. This is a matchup where he'll be rewarded for that decision.
If Ben just casts something like a Sky Spawner or Displacer here, the Anger will clean up a lot.
That's what he's going to do. Sky Spawner making a Scion. This is going to be a brutal turn.
If Friedman had access to both Eldrazi Temple and Thought-Knot Seer, he would have had the mana for the turn 2, so Chris doesn't really have to worry about that happening on the following turn as well. This Anger looks pretty brutal. Yeah,
so his shortcut here, Chris goes and he fetches another Stomping Ground up. Now this is on his upkeep, cast Search for Tomorrow for the Mountain.
Yep.
Doing all that in one swoop. There's a lot of shuffling in the Breach deck.
So it still tries to close matches pretty quickly. Gives you a little time for those shuffles.
Yeah, game 1 in particular, this match can be strongly in Breach's favor. We'll get to what that means in the sideboard in a second. But it is Anger of the Gods, turn 3 from Chris. Ben Friedman will lose all his creatures, left with just a pair of Brushlands. Does Chris Andersen have another land drop for the turn? He does not, so that actually is a hiccup for the deck in a big way.
Yeah, though, as you were saying, this is a matchup where Chris really wants to play more of a controlling role. So this is a sort of matchup where he can kind of afford to stumble a little bit, especially with how impactful that Anger of the Gods was.
And Chris is going to go ahead and play Sakura Tribe-Elder. You might wonder why he's sacrificing it right away. It's because he has copies of Cinderglade in his deck.
And Friedman picked up a colorless land there, but it was not an Eldrazi Temple. It's a one of Seagate Wreckage, which I don't think is really going to come into play in a matchup like this. And Bant Eldrazi is generally favored against Jund. I'm kind of curious about this land here.
Interesting. So Chris is going to go ahead and he plays the Cinderglade, then casts Summoner's Pact for Sakura Tribe-Elder and plays the Snake Shaman.
All right. It's one of the lower impact Summoner's Pact I've ever seen.
Yeah, this play probably means that his hand is something like Primeval Titan and another Summoner's Pact, something where he's just full up on these things.
Yeah.
Sure, he'll have to pay for the Pact. He won't get a Titan next turn, but he's really not going to die in the meantime. We'll see. Ben.
Well, hey.
Yeah, that is the hand. Primeval Titan Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, Thought-Knot Seer is going to take one of them away, but that hand's pretty redundant.
Yeah, if Ben has another Thought-Knot, there's a game. We have a game here.
Well, he has a Displacer.
Okay.
So
an attack with Displacer, yeah.
Displaces Thought-Knot Seer, so Chris is actually going to have to top deck his way out of this one.
Yeah, and this is where Chris's decision to pact there is pretty interesting. So he had 5 lands and pact Titan. While his play is tempting, it may have been best for him to simply hold all 3 Titans and just try to peel the land.
Yeah, try to peel the land, peel through the Breach.
Right, I mean, it's really hard if your hand is 3 Primeval Titans that Ben will Thought-Knot all of them away.
Yep. Yeah, Chris took a very aggressive line here, and looks like he's
going to pay for it. Yeah. Draws, and there's the untapped land. It's Wooded Foothills, so big punishment. He's going to lose all his Titans.
He did shuffle his deck with the Summoner's Pact, so
that we'll never know what the top deck was. You're absolutely right.
There's no way of knowing. Maybe Chris checked.
Ancient Stirrings for Ben Friedman. He knows Chris Andersen's last card is able to make Primeval Titan.
Picks up a land off Ancient Stirrings. Not the most exciting thing there. If he just has another Thought-Knot Seer, that would be very
really
powerful.
Good. Yeah, a block and a sack from Chris Andersen. Sakura Tribe-Elder is an interesting card in this situation. There's this balance where Chris wants to ramp and prevent damage, but also getting rid of Tribe-Elder before the Valakut's online is possible lightning bolts.
Throwing a lightning bolt away, and he went and found basic forest.
Right, it's because he already has 5 mountains in play, and at this point getting more mountains out of your deck is kind of just like shooting blanks here. Your deck only has so many bullets.
He's technically preserving that lightning bolt because he does still have 6 lands plus wooded foothills. And that sack tribe was the 6th mana source, so he's kind of conserving it there anyway.
So Chris is going to wait. This is great. During draw step, Ben's going to blink the Thought-Knot Seer. Now, if Chris drew through the breach, he's going to punish Ben in a million ways.
Not looking like it.
No, okay. And he drew it.
Oh, okay. So he had Summoner's Pact, and he drew through the breach there off the Thought-Knot.
And this is where Ben got punished on his own. So what happened is Ben stacked the triggers, drew Chris the extra card, but before the exile, Chris is going to go ahead and breach this Titan into play. A huge misstep. If Ben, he needs to do that during his own turn to stop this.
And Chris will be able to find those Valakuts now, start lightning bolting things.
Yeah, he doesn't have any Valakuts in play, so you see, he picks up those 2. So he breaches the Titan into play. Yeah, going to get 2 Valakuts. This misstep is going to cost Ben the game.
Yeah. The Perennial Titan will be able to attack this turn. He tapped all his Displacer mana.
So 2 Valakuts. Remember, this Titan has haste, and it's just...
There's still the Wooded Foothills hanging out. That's worth 6 damage now.
Well, I mean, this is just going to end this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Ben's dead.
Yeah. And another Valakut in hand. Chris will go ahead and play that from hand. Yash says, I got you. And game 1 goes to Chris Andersen. And this kind of shows the fireworks of Modern. We had what could have been a misstep on Chris's side by pacting for a Tri-Belder. And then Ben gives him a slight one. He has 2 draw steps to find a through the breach. And Chris hits, and Ben pays.
And they say Modern's not interactive.
This is great stuff. All right, so Chris Andersen now a game up. He is 1 game away from the perfect 8-0. Let's look. Starting at Ben's sideboard, he actually improves a lot in sideboarding this matchup in general. So we have 2 Worships, 2 Natural States, 4 Rest in Peace, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Stubborn Denial, a Disdainful Stroke, and 2 Blessed Alliance.
Stubborn Denial and Disdainful Stroke to counter these big impact spells. Those are going to be really great here. Worship doesn't really do anything for him because Chris can just spend his time using Valakut to kill all the creatures that Ben has assembled.
Right, he's the control deck here.
Right.
But those 2 counterspells, especially Disdainful Stroke, is a great inclusion for Ben Friedman.
Yeah, definitely. Those are upgrades for sure.
Yeah, on Chris's side, it's a good matchup, so I don't think we're going to see too much. 3 Sudden Shock, a Reclamation Sage, an Anger of the Gods. That's the 4th one. 3 Crumble to Dust, 2 Obstinate Baloth, 2 Tireless Tracker, a Gaia's Revenge, and 2 Engineered Explosives. Nothing
I'm really into here. Maybe the Anger of the Gods.
Yeah, there's not too much. There's an argument actually for Tireless Tracker here. Bant doesn't kill too many of your things, and getting your tracker to a 5/4 is actually pretty good.
Yeah, Path to Exile, not a very exciting card in this matchup, so it's likely going to survive.
Yeah, it's more just his main deck. He has an Obstinate Baloth in the main.
Yeah, that one's
that's
not very
probably
effective
worse.
here. Yeah.
But you're right, not much boarding at all for Chris Andersen. Players going to get ready for a second game. Ben will be on the play. Now we have, over at Star Scenes, we have regionals coming up here. So this is the beginning of February. Now, February 4th is our Modern Season 1 regionals. You can now announce it. We have a exclusive playmat and token to the first 200 players to show up at each location. You see the playmat over here. So we do have the locations, which we'll show you in a second here. 12 places have been announced, hosting them all around the country. You can find out more at starcitygames.com/regionals. See, this is still part of the SCG tour here. We have prizes and points and qualifications. So the top 8 of each regionals will qualify for an invitational for the next year, up to 20 points and $1,200 to first place, and pays all the way down through the top 32 here.
And this will be the Modern format, so you could play your own Valakut deck. You could go off like Chris Andersen with Through the Breach and Primeval Titan. You could play Grixis Delver like Kevin Jones and now Jim Davis.
Yeah, the Howl of the Heavens playmat by Andrea Radek here. Ben, looking at a 6-card hand here. Looks like Chris Andersen has kept on 7.
Ben needs a fast hand.
And Yavimaya to start for Ben Friedman. Chris will start on a Forest into Oath of Nissa. It's a card that I said that I've really liked since Simian Spirit Guide became part of the deck.
Yeah, now that you can just find a ramp spell,
Yeah.
find your Simian Spirit Guide, play a ramp spell
Yeah.
on turn 2, more avenues to turn 3 through the breach.
Yeah, it used to be that it was find a land, sometimes get lucky and find a Tribe Elder. Now you have a reasonable chance of finding a ramp spell.
Yeah.
He didn't. Chris got a basic mountain off it. He'll play Valakut on turn 2 and pass. So no ramp yet for Chris Andersen. You see Thought Knot Seer from Ben. We'll see what's up. I'm expecting something full of Anger of the Gods.
Yeah.
You see double Anger, Titan, and 4 lands.
Okay, this is not a
Titan's
terribly
gone.
impressive hand for Chris here.
You know, it's not, but at the same time, there's actually, looks like 2 copies of Valakut in Chris's hand. There's one in play and then one at the top of your screen here. Remember that Chris is a control deck. And I said if he gets 2 Valakuts, 5 lands in play, he should be good. So as bad as this hand seems, he's got more play to it than it looks.
Yeah, his lands so far, they are Forest Valakut, so he has a ways to go before he can start getting these triggers.
Yeah.
Ben has a Thought Knot Seer on the battlefield, so he has to get something going beyond Anger of the Gods. That's just not doing anything.
Land and pass for Chris Andersen. Chris did draw a ramp spell that turn, but it was Simian Spirit Guide, which, if you're going to go the lands control route, is actually the spell he doesn't want.
Right.
Chris takes 4 off Thought Knot Seer. Ben follows up with another Thought Knot Seer. He gets to see Anger, Spirit Guide lands, and getting that second Anger is pretty big.
And the hand that Chris kept here, it's really good against something like Noble Hierarch into Eldrazi
Yeah.
Displacer, Eldrazi Sky Spawner. But I think that those are the games he's not going to have a lot of difficulty winning anyway. I'm pretty convinced that this hand was a mulligan.
You know, I'm going to go the other side of it. If you look at his keep, it was 3 lands, Oath of Nissa, Primeval Titan, and 2 Angers. There's probably enough there to merit keeping it. If the Oath hits a ramp spell, you have some controls in your Titan. If you never draw a ramp spell, this deck's not going to do much for you.
I suppose that the deck is generally weak enough to Thought Knot Seer. Certainly mulliganing with this card specifically on your radar is not necessarily going to be a good payoff.
Yeah, the way you try to get around discard is the fact that you have a bunch of redundancy. Now we go to Chris's turn 4. He is 4 for 4 on drawing lands, and also oathed into a land. He's running pretty poor for his draw.
Yeah, had he found a ramp spell here, he could double Anger on the following turn. Well,
Right.
actually, yeah, with the Simian Spirit guy, well, he had it exiled now, so he can't do that, of course.
Ancient Stirrings for Ben Friedman. He's got 8 power of creatures. This could be a very quick game. Ben finds an Eldrazi Temple. And it may be too late. If Ben has something like a Reality Smasher to follow up here, even... I don't know that Chris will have a live draw. Swing for 8. Chris chump blocks one of the Thought Knots, goes to 12.
Ben has Disdainful Stroke in hand.
That's big as he plays Noble Hierarch for the turn.
Even if Chris had drawn through the breach plus Primeval Titan, he wouldn't be able to resolve anything.
Chris draws another land. That's not going to do anything for him.
I thought this deck liked lands.
It does. You prefer to play more than one in a turn. Like, drawing Farseek and a land is a lot like drawing 2 lands, but there's a big difference, especially when your deck doesn't work until the 7th land.
Yeah.
A swing puts Chris down to 4. A draw is Oath of Nissa. He'll cast that. Legended out of play. There's not really anything here that's going to save him.
If he still has Obstinate Baloth, and he can gain some life and do something in combat, but
Yeah, well, he can learn that Ben plays Disdainful Stroke.
yeah, I can figure that one out.
And nothing doing on to game 3 between Chris Andersen and Ben Friedman. A hand that, and this is like, right, this is I think why a lot of top players dislike ramp decks, just in general, is because of games like the one we just watched.
Didn't really get the opportunity to make decisions in that game.
Right. And do you think that's fair to say just about, big mana in general, where it's, when Chris keeps the hand of 2 Angers, Oath, Titan, 3 lands, he's not really it's keepable, but Chris isn't really in control of what's going on.
Yeah, the deck is a lot about math. It just has a distribution of lands, ramp spells, and payoff cards that is configured in a way to kill the fastest the most consistently. There's no card filtering. Oath of Nissa, it's some card selection, but it's very minor. And what you're looking for doesn't really change based on the texture of the game.
Right.
So it's that lack of general ability to leverage your play skill.
For Chris Andersen, captain of Team Card Hoarder, he's going to be back on the play for game number 3. The 27-year-old from Indianapolis, a whopping 19 open top 8s. Only one invitational top 8 to his name, however. He'd love to add a second one this weekend. Playing really rampant in all formats. Part of the most of the card hoarder players on the red-green Aetherworks Marvel deck in Standard, playing Valakut in Modern. Pretty big fan.
A lot of mountains, a lot of forests.
A lot of mountains and forests and big things. And both players have kept 7 as we start game number 3. Chris starting off on Wooded Foothills. You see, once again, he has kept a hand based at least somewhat on having Anger of the Gods be good. It's in his opener.
Anger of the Gods hanging out in his hand here. This looks like an untapped Stomping Ground, so it could be a search for tomorrow, which is one of the better things to have in your opener for this deck.
It's just the best.
Yeah.
The best one. Not just... It's like your best play is turn 1 search. Your second best play is probably turn 1 tapped Valakut go. You know, it's...
The
disparity is kind of a doozy.
The disparity between those two things is pretty high.
Hey, you got a tap land and didn't even have to mess up your mana to do it. Got it into play. What a win. Suspends that search for tomorrow, does Chris. At least one blue card in the opener here for Chris.
Yeah.
Remember, those are counter spells out of the sideboard.
I believe a Stubborn Denial in hand for Ben here.
He's kept Path to Exile in. It's a card that he kind of keeps things. He doesn't have that much to work off of. I can't imagine he'd rather just not draw them.
Yeah. This hand, it looks like he would rather that was a creature or a land. Either of those things would be an upgrade.
Well, turn 1 Noble Hierarch from Ben is good news for Chris Andersen. It means that Anger of the Gods on turn 3 is going to be live.
Ben found a basic forest that keeps him above 18. That's kind of a number you have to worry about with these Valakut decks. So I would just kind of aggressively take the pain if it made my mana better.
I agree with you. The blue Scapeshift decks, the ones with 2 Valakuts, like minimal mountains, it's a huge drop to go to 18. Against Red-Green Breach, not really. Look at game 1. Chris could have killed him from 30. From over 30.
Basically, they're killing you or they're not.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything that's hitting you for 10.
Well, especially because Chris's plan here is to kill all of Ben's creatures and then kind of, walk it in from there.
Right.
Yeah, once all your stuff's dead and my lands deal 9, then I'll figure out a way to deal with your life total.
Right.
Ancient Stirrings from Ben Friedman shows Thought Not Seer, Eldrazi Sky Spawner. He's Reality Smasher. He quickly selects Thought Not Seer. Likely his best card in the matchup. Here is a... he's going to play Cavern of Souls, naming Eldrazi into Talisman. Go back to Chris. Upkeep, we'll search for tomorrow.
And Chris has that anger, though, with Ben committing that Talisman here. With any third land, he'll be able to cast Thought Not Seer on the following turn. So if Chris has mana ramp here, it's probably something he'll prioritize above that Anger of the Gods.
You see, Ben is left up blue. So Chris with he did have the double ramp spell, turn 1 ramp, turn 2 ramp. If Ben did not have the blue mana, Chris could possibly just breach a Titan turn 3 on the play here. And he actually has all the tools to do it.
Chris can technically still do it with a Simian Spirit Guide.
He just has it
Ben
all.
is not ferocious.
He cast through the breach. Whoa, and this was huge. It'll get countered. So Chris cast through the breach. He did not have a Titan in hand. I think he just had Summoner's Pact. If Ben just says okay, Chris doesn't get priority again.
No, he does not.
No. So that would have been fun.
Well, let's say, Chris effectively sniffed out that Ben had the counter and he had to cast it in that window.
That is so bold of Chris Andersen. If that's the play he made, tap out for that because he knows about Stubborn Denial, then he is a master. You see a Thought Knot from Ben, takes the Titan but leaves Chris with 2 Angers. I'm just in awe of that play.
Yeah, so much for this deck not leveraging his play skill. That was impressive stuff.
But what if Ben doesn't have Stubborn Denial? You just lose your breach.
Scoreboard.
That's so ridiculous.
Did it work?
Well played. Yeah, it worked.
Did it work?
Big draw by Chris. He draws land 6. This means he can cast both his Angers and get that card back from under the Thought Knot.
And now Ben's in trouble.
Well, technically, Chris has no more cards. He's playing off the top of his deck. He does. Yeah, 6 ends up playing no Valakut, actually. So he casts both Angers. You see, that's why he got the Forest. He'll get a card, but without Valakuts, he could brick from here.
True. The deck does have a lot of just mana sources.
Yeah, both are gone. No second stubborn now for Ben. Chris will draw, and we say go. Ben Friedman. Cavern, 5 mana, so he has, it looks like Sky Spawner and 2 Drowners. Don't kill me, please.
Yeah, Reality Smasher would be great here, but Sky
This'll have
Spawner
to
and a
do.
Drowner is pretty slow.
At least it's a mana. It means next turn he will get to play. 2 cards for Chris. Is one of them a Titan? No. Search for Tomorrow and land. He has to hang on to both.
Yep. Gotta want to sandbag those to potentially be worth a lightning bolt down the line.
This is just, can you draw Titan? 3 damage comes across. Chris Andersen down to 14. Gosh, that Through the Breach play is just, that's still sticking with me. I'm just... Drowner, follow-up from Ben. Does draw the land, so he gets to keep his sign for it. Here's 2 more. Chris does not have many more shots to draw this Titan. Through the Breach was the draw here. That was among his worst draws.
Yeah, given that Ben has the Path to Exile in hand, that's not going to be terribly effective.
Path in hand, a Drowner in play is pretty good against it too.
Yep.
If Chris gets a Titan, I guess what it does let him... Yeah, that's just hard. No, there's no real way around it.
No, with that Drowner here, Ben now has 10 power on the battlefield to be able to chip Chris down to 3. He has a board where he has a 5/5 that would survive something like another Anger of the Gods.
It's unfortunate that Chris's ramp spell here is Search for Tomorrow. It's the worst ramp spell he could actually have at the moment. If it was a 2-mana spell, then if he top decks Titan, he could Breach Titan and Farseek in the same turn. But with 3 mana, the only way you can make that happen is by playing the Search before your Breach, which kind of defeats the point.
And he is casting Search here.
Yep, and that's probably the best.
Yep.
So, with a loss now from Joe Bernal, we're reporting from Table 2, the winner of this will be the lone 8-0 player.
And right now, it's looking a lot like that's going to be Ben Friedman.
A swing for 3, 4, 5, 10. Chris Andersen down to 3, plays Cavern of Souls and says go. Chris needs Primeval Titan. Does he do it? Oh, he does. He does. Here's Through the Breach. Primeval Titan, boom, into play. Gets 2 Valakuts. This card's great. It's the best tutor in Modern.
Chris is at 3, though. He's got a lot of creatures you got to kill here.
Yeah, oh, he can't even do it. Oh, that's such a letdown. Well, actually, he'll go to 1. He'll go to 1. So Ben taps the Titan, no attacks. Then Chris gets to play a land, and he offers a handshake.
Well,
oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, it's only 2
bolts.
triggers. He can't do it.
He could kill the Drowner and still face down 4 damage.
Wow. You got to live and die by a Primeval Titan a turn earlier, and Chris is looking very good.
Yeah, different game there. Yeah, he put himself in a position with that double Anger of the Gods to potentially draw out of it, but the top of his deck just really didn't deliver.